Hello, everyone. We're so excited to see you today on Leadership Florida's podcast called The Leadership Exchange, hosted by Leadership Florida, but sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware. And today, my special guest is Debra Jacobs. She is the president and CEO of the Patterson Foundation and a proud member of Cornerstone Class 10 from the Calusa Region. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you. And Wendy, I'm so glad that you mentioned that I came from the Cornerstone Class 10 because some people would call us vintage. But because, we kind of date back. But I must say that I love how vintage sticks around and continues to participate in Leadership Florida because of the value. So anybody who's listening, Leadership Florida is a lifetime commitment. Once you're in the door, you're staying.
Oh, I love hearing you say that. And I would call you a treasure, not vintage, but a treasure, because we're in our 43rd year, which is kind of amazing. And I'm maybe vintage, or I don't know what you want to call me, from class 24. So it's been 20 years, for me as well. But
Yeah.
we love it is. It's Leadership Florida for life, not for just your class session, which we see over and over and over. It's so wonderful. So I just mentioned that our podcast sponsor is Sunshine Ace Hardware, and I love to start with a question for you. Yeah, as you know, their motto is Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks. So, from that similar theme, I want you to finish this sentence for me. The Patterson Foundation is the place with.
Is the place where possibilities come to life.
I love that. And you're going to tell us more about what those possibilities are during this conversation as well. So, just for starters, let's I want the overall sort of elevator statement about the Patterson Foundation and tell us about who you are, what you represent, a little bit about your mission. Give us some, details too about your reach.
Well, and I do want to, if you think I'm vintage, where the money for the Patterson Foundation came from dates back to the mid 1800s.
Ooh.
So that's a different podcast interview we can do about the history of the funding for this foundation. But we're a fully endowed charitable foundation, and this is what we do. We strengthen individuals, organizations, and communities in ways that foster wide participation around shared quality of life aspirations. And everything we do fits into that strengthening, fostering wide participation, and again, embracing new possibilities around shared aspirations.
Oh, I love that so much. That word aspirations is not used very often, and it probably should be.
No,
It
no.
just means
Well, and actually, Wendy, thank you, because oftentimes TPF, that's our nickname, the Patterson Foundation, often TPF uses unique words, such as you asked earlier about, finish this sentence. Two of our words that we use are passionaries and possibilitarians. So, when you're walking around thinking behaving that you're changing the world, you got a high level of energy.
oh, that's perfect. I love that so much. There's so many things I want to ask you, but I want to start with something that impacts Leadership Florida every other year, and we're so proud to be a part of the Giving Challenge. Tell us about the vision for that and what the Giving Challenge is, and it is impacting so many nonprofits and in turn people in Florida. Tell us a little bit about the Giving Challenge.
Well, and the Giving Challenge is actually it's an extension of the Giving Partner, which is a 24/7 website where nonprofits in the region post their information. Keeping your information up to date really is a pain in the neck, but it's worth it because in the middle of the night, anybody can go on and type in cats, and up will come all the cat organizations that you can know about. But the Giving Challenge is an opportunity for every organization during a 24-hour period to raise money using social media, using promos, using videos, whatever. And remember when I said the Patterson Foundation fosters wide participation? All right. That's the Giving Challenge, because the Giving Challenge just had its 10th Giving Challenge raising over $100 million.
Wow.
Okay. This past giving challenge, the one that you most recently, Leadership Florida, participated in, it raised $17 million. And here's the magic in the sauce. Of that 17 million, the Patterson Foundation said to all 751 organizations, listen, you raise as much as you want to. And every donor who donates between $25 and $100, we will match with no cap. It's shifting the power to the organizations. Leadership Florida, raise as much as you want. We match it dollar for dollar up to that $100. And so people have the power to decide who they're going to donate to. I will tell you, Wendy, we're the only foundation in America, in the globe, who has an unrestricted cap.
Wow. I've marveled by that all these years and wondered about, my goodness, they've no cap. It's
We know.
unbelievable.
We
And
have
the
no
individual cap,
idea. We have
no.
no idea each year how much we're going to spend, but it's shift the power to the people in the organizations.
Well, it's incredible. And I don't know if other organizations who you support through this have done this, but you inspired our organization, Leadership Florida, to host our own giving challenge on the I guess it would be the odd years
Yes,
that were
yes.
not a part of yours. And that has been a great sustainability for us, and we love doing it.
Well, and see, we view the Giving Challenge as a muscle builder. Organizations learn how to do it and then go off and do it and go for it. Yeah. So
We
bravo to Leadership Florida. And let's say bravo to all of the donors who stepped up and supported a mission that they care deeply about.
That's right. And it's also a place where everyone can participate no matter what your economic situation is, because we start, and our theme has been we celebrate each year that we've been in business. And this year it's 44 years
Or
we're in now. So we say, we suggest 44 or 144 or 244.
yeah,
And people follow those suggestions. But even at the small level at $44, which gets matched by you with $44
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in that window, it's something everyone can do. So it doesn't eliminate anyone's ability to give and participate and feel good about it. So
No, everybody can be a philanthropist. Everyone. Yes.
so let's talk a little bit more about the Patterson Foundation. You talked about its early start, but what today is that are you focused on? What is trending in the foundation field that you are trying to address? How is it affecting your mission? And just explain what's important to you today.
So, the Patterson Foundation, rather than being a traditional grant maker, we work on initiatives. And our initiatives, quite frankly, last year's. So, one is civic health. Civic health. And one of our partners in that space is Rich Harwood of the Harwood Institute. We've actually been working with Rich for over 12 years on the premise of people have the opportunity and responsibility to create their own futures. And we've got to realize we have the power within ourselves to build relationships with others and find common interests that we can move forward. And that's why I talk about those shared aspirations. So often, people, communities, they know the answer to the question. Well, if everybody knew the answer, why isn't it working? And it's often not, because people get stuck in their solution rather than finding out what do we all care about. And we have worked with Rich. Actually, we've in a wide variety of ways. But what I'm excited about is at this year's Leadership Florida meeting, he was a keynote speaker. We asked if he could come and be a keynote speaker, and his new book, The New Civic Path Forward, is a beautiful discussion tool to bring anybody together to talk about what should I do in the future to build a more vibrant society for me and for all of us. But I'll tell you, it's more than talk. If we just talk, we don't make things happen. So we've got to talk, we got to figure out what we share in common, and then what can we do together. And then where does it blossom out from there? So, and again, the tie of Leadership Florida, there's a wide range of opinions among Leadership Florida alums. So we don't all have to think alike, but we have such a beautiful opportunity to find what we care about in common and then start that discussion to going forward. So I wanted to link in that, Leadership Florida has a role in our state, and the Patterson Foundation and I are thrilled to continue to strengthen this state that we care so much about.
Well, Rich was so great, and I have met him years ago on a national stage as he's been doing this for many years, and was so pleased that you were able to support his participation as a sponsor for this year's annual meeting. And what I love is that he's available to go into these communities and help them with that civic pathway, as he talks about. And you and I know we all have more in common than we have differences.
That's right.
And Leadership Florida proves that because we put people in the room in these class cohorts between 50 and 55, depending on which one you're in. And we put them in the room who are different from each other. They're not all the same. And they find that commonality very quickly because now they're in the club together and they're in the same class for life. And we talk about those differences cause us to be stronger together as we talk about issues, but find that common thread, which is a lot easier than people think because we
Yeah.
focus on all the differences so often. So let's transition. That's a really good transition to things that you feel right now that you were looking at that may be the biggest challenge that you have with the foundation. What's
So actually, I'm going to go back to words again. We're no saying challenge. Okay. We view
Oh, very
everything.
good.
No,
All right, I'll take that as a
Everything
challenge.
is an opportunity. You cannot throw a hurdle that we don't figure out how to turn that into an opportunity. So the Patterson Foundation is comfortable working in really tough space. So let me give you another example, which affects the entire state, country, is the campaign for grade level reading. What that is about is that a child learns to read from birth to third grade. So let's help every child be successful. And so we have worked on the campaign. And I will tell you, Wendy, if you said, well, how long are you going to work on it? Probably forever. Because it's such a there's no single policy, no single program, no single organization that is going to help all children be successful. But if we weave our threads in such a way and take that fishnet that kids are falling through, one of my things people go, oh, it's not possible. All right, here's the stats. Nationally, 1 in 2 children cannot read on grade level reading. Okay. And in Florida, we personify, even in our 4 county region in Sarasota, 1 in 3 can't read in Sarasota. In DeSoto County, 2 in 3 can't read. So it's something that, again, we have to come together. And we asked 2 questions at the Patterson Foundation. Who else cares and what's possible? And how can we come together and talk about it and do something with it? So I think that the whole childhood success is something that we need to pay more attention to. And when COVID came in and slammed it and created family turmoil and kids and absenteeism, big mess. I mean, we're growing up kids who deserve our attention. So, campaign for grade level readings. One, another one is digital access for all. Wendy, if I don't have access to broadband or I don't have a machine or I don't know how to use it, I'm not part of society. And it's not just kids with homework, it's older adults who need to book a doctor's appointment. You have to be in the digital access. And so how do we look at making sure in our communities that people and businesses have the tools and equipment to be part of our society and build a more vibrant Florida?
I'm so pleased to hear you talk about focusing on both of those important issues, of which I've been engaged with on a national level as well. AmeriCorps, a lot of AmeriCorps members are in schools working on the third grade reading level opportunity, I'll say, instead of challenge. Thank
Yes,
you
thank
for
you.
that. And serve on a national board called City Year, which is in 29 cities. And those are near peers who are in schools working and addressing third grade and other grades, but third grade is a real important one to them in the schools. And the statistics are really frightening, but also a wake up call because they are accurate. And your assessment of that is so important that I always say our children and our students' opportunities is an adult problem. We're the ones that have to solve it and address it because they are the recipients if we're not addressing it. So I love hearing the Patterson Foundation focused on that.
I want to give you a nugget that is really children are only in school 14% of a year. So while we think it's up to the schools, sorry, kids,
Yeah.
even if we add in the sleep, 50% of the time, kids are not in school or sleeping. So, yes, it's a family's responsibility, but we look at it as it's a community's responsibility that we can support, again, success.
Wow, that's a great statement to have. And it's so, so true. I always like to ask my guest about the organization they work for, represent, or lead. Tell me about what the Patterson Foundation is like as a member of its team, even though you're leading it. What is it like to be employed by the Patterson Foundation?
Well, people often say to me, because the way we work, we have a very small core staff, and we work with a lot of consultants, independent contractors. So we get this much of their time to do incredible things so with their expertise. And people say, how do you get everybody that's so nice at the Patterson Foundation? And actually, Wendy, one of our values that's out on the wall on the website is demonstrate integrity with joyful stewardship. How many companies have a value that says joyful stewardship? So if we don't find the joy, the hope, the humor, the good, uh, with the privilege that we have to make the world a better place, so we look at for ways to we do important work, but we have fun while we're doing it. So I have to say that's kind of our culture is we have to make a difference, but gosh, we should giggle along the way.
Oh, I love that so much. And what a great way to close this podcast with that thought of having fun while you work and doing meaningful work as well. Deborah, thank you so much for being my guest on today's Leadership Exchange podcast, hosted by Leadership Florida and sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware.
Thank you.
That was a great conversation with Debra Jacobs, who is president and CEO of the Patterson Foundation. She's a proud member of Cornerstone Class 10 and a member of the Calusa Region. I loved what she talked about. The place where possibilities come to life is the Patterson Foundation's description. It's just wonderful. Did not know that they date back to the mid 1800s. Wow, that could be, as she said, a podcast all in of itself with some history there. So it would be fantastic. They're focusing on a lot of things at the Patterson Foundation, but two things she pulled out that I believe are also should be priorities for Floridians is the need for all third graders to be reading on third grade reading levels because there are so many setbacks if they are not reading by third grade. So that's so important. She also talked about the digital divide and the need for digital access for all Floridians and quite frankly, all Americans and worldwide as well. So, what a wonderful conversation with Deborah. It's really great. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Leadership Exchange, hosted by Leadership Florida and sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware.